Dangle, Adam Wilde, and Jesse Blake.
Let's go!
You know, Steve, if you keep dancing on the video version of this show on every intro, you're going to get stuck like Ellen DeGeneres did, and then it'll become an expectation.
And be a bad person?
And then you'll hate it. No, not be a bad person.
Oh,
no.
okay.
Ellen has said for years that she hates dancing at the beginning of her show, but she has to because she did it in the first season, and then people expect that, and now she's had to do it.
It makes me uncomfortable every time she does.
Yeah, I think it makes her extremely uncomfortable. When someone's dancing and they're comfortable, you know. When someone's dancing and they're uncomfortable, you super know.
It's so long. It's so
The intro?
long.
Oh, yeah.
I ask again, what is the point of being rich?
What do you mean?
Ellen DeGeneres is so rich. She's so rich.
Mm-hmm.
So don't do the thing you don't want to do anymore. That's all.
I don't think those two things are related.
Yeah.
I kind of think they are.
I think it's all
don't
about your
think-
perspective, and I think you would have a different perspective than most people. Don't you agree, Jesse?
Yep. I don't think those two things are related at all.
So just be one of the richest people just to be miserable and do uncomfortable things.
There are really two schools of thought with money. There are those people who go, if I reach this point, I'm done. I'm letting go. Then there's other people who are like, if I reach that point, then I want to do it again, and then I want to multiply it by 2, and then I want to multiply it by 10.
And which one is healthier?
Listen, I don't disagree with you. I'm just saying that, listen, if somebody were to hand me $20 million tomorrow, okay? $20 million, I would be able to very safely retire and do whatever the fuck I wanted for the rest of my life. Ellen DeGeneres makes $20 million a year, and, there were reports that, like, she was having trouble selling one of her houses. And imagine being stressed about that. And, like, imagine working ever again if you had $20 million in the bank account. But yeah, here they are. Here they are, because it's not about the $20 million. It's about how far can I push this?
Yeah.
How much money can I actually make here?
So
That's what
you're
it's
like,
about.
hey, she's rich. She doesn't have to do anything she wants, but she doesn't want to just do anything. She wants to do this.
Yeah, she
So
also likes the job,
Yeah.
or used to like the job.
So dance, Ellen. Make eye contact when you dance. It's terrifying. I hate it every time, and so does she.
She does. She does hate it.
Neither of us have to participate. She doesn't have to do it, and I don't have to watch.
No, that's right. And
So-
yet here you both are.
And here we both are. Oh, I haven't watched Ellen DeGeneres dance in a very long time.
Okay, well there you go.
I wonder if she
Steve
danced
wins,
for the trade
Jesse.
deadline.
Well, I was going to ask you how you're feeling.
About the trade deadline?
No, just like in general. Did you have a busy deadline?
Honestly, I don't. Is it wrong to say I don't care?
What do you mean?
Like Leo's had a fever for a few days, and that's been priority number one.
Oh, okay.
And I'm just like, oh, Andrew Kopp's a Ranger, cool.
Okay.
Like I just.
Do you care about the show? Like Jesse and I want to know.
definitely care about the
Before
show.
we get into it, Jesse and I would like to know. So if at any point I start listing off trades and you start yelling, I don't care, and then running around in circles, then I want to know that that's going to happen before it
It's
happens.
not the best way to start a podcast about the trade deadline, and you come on here and say, you know what? I don't really care that Andrew Kopp is a Ranger. You know what? Fuck Giroux.
Yeah,
he can
exactly.
he can go to Florida and fuck off.
In fact, that's his
no,
new
no,
name.
no. Giroux happened before yesterday.
Yeah, so he cares about that.
So you care about that? Oh,
Yes-
well,
yesterday-
Marc-Andre Fleury, get on that jet and go.
That was cool.
Go to the Wild. I don't care.
That was cool.
No, you don't care.
No, that one was fine.
No, everything we're about to talk about for the next 90 minutes, you don't give a shit.
Yeah, I was
about.
told
Okay,
you don't
there
care.
there were maybe 4 relevant trades yesterday,
Okay.
and there were more the day before.
There
were.
No, but
There were.
No, but we're gonna talk about the whole last 72 hours.
We're going to talk about Brett
You
fucking
didn't say
Kulak.
that. You're like, how do you feel?
Derek
And I was
Brassard.
like, I don't know. I care more about my child.
Well, yeah, you should. Like that's not what we're asking.
No, we definitely should. You should definitely care about Lee.
I
By the
don't
way, is
think-
Leo going to be okay?
Yeah, I think so.
Adam didn't ask, do you care more about hockey or your son? Like
I know.
that wasn't the question.
I should have, though. I should have.
I'm tired.
Thank you.
I'm tired.
That's an appropriate answer.
There you go.
So you're pooped. You made videos all day yesterday?
I wish I did.
Okay, so what happened? What was the holdup?
I made 3 because all day it was like,
Because you don't care.
Well, yeah, it's because I don't care. No, it's because it felt like the only trades that happened, and they just happened. The whole thing was announced all at once. Were the kind of piddly ones?
Yeah.
The smaller ones. I do like a straightforward Justin Braun 3rd round pick. Bang. I like that.
That's a trade deadline trade.
Here you go. You get a guy, we get a pick. Bang. And here's the tweet. Bang. here's the information, Steven, go make a video. Bang! The whole rest of it and the day before, Mark Giordano has been traded to the Leafs. And then I spend the next 2 hours going,
Do I get a little credit for that?
What do you
when
mean?
I came on here on Friday and I said when we return on Tuesday, Mark Giordano is going to be a Leaf.
no,
Okay.
because I don't care.
I also think
yeah,
Steve.
no, you do.
Okay,
Because I was skeptical.
I also
Yeah.
think. Well, I thought that you were saying a couple weeks ago that Giordano watched the Leafs.
No.
You were one of the first people I ever heard say that, or was it you?
I don't think
it
that
you?
was me.
I think that was this
Was
guy.
it you?
I think it was him.
I think that this is the guy who guaranteed on Friday that would happen.
No,
It
but
was someone
before
you were
that,
looking at
somebody
over
over,
here.
Yeah, I don't
somebody
know.
over here weeks ago said it, and I'm impressed. There we go.
Brett Kulak is an Oiler.
And
For what?
it took
So-
forever. Why did yesterday? It was weird yesterday.
I can't imagine what it was like on TV because I didn't get to watch it because the whole time I'm just staring at my stupid phone going, can someone please release the details of this damn trade so I can make a video? Like, I fully expected to make 7 or 8 videos yesterday and I made 3. I made 3 because, like, Marc-Andre Fleury, Minnesota Wild for blah, 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 bang, whatever it ended up being. I can't. That was 90 trades ago. And then the most exciting thing, the juiciest thing of the entire day, was at 10:30 at night.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're going to start the show with that.
Yeah, so it was just. It's not that it was a bad trade deadline necessarily. It was definitely more spread out. And just the release of the information was so clunky.
I think it made for a less eventful day in terms of the TV product for sure,
Yeah.
because one, all the fun stuff happened on Sunday. So
Yes.
it was a wash for all of the guys who were on the broadcast for 8 hours. And then, yeah, when everything came out, it wasn't succinct information. So you weren't able to break it down. It wasn't the best trade deadline in terms of TV for
No,
sure,
it wasn't.
because
It
of those things you broke down.
I was waiting on Kopp and Raquel. There was a video I shot. It was the 3rd video I shot where I had shot the entire thing because I'm like, surely within 5 minutes I'll have the information on these trades. And I sat there for another 90 minutes
Wow.
waiting on the Raquel and Kopp returns.
I did enjoy the vignettes on TSN. They were good. They're in between stuff.
they really did fill time properly.
Yeah.
And thank God they got rid of the llama thing or whatever they were doing. And they used to have Maggie the monkey. I remember that.
Yeah.
And
Maggie the macaque, how dare you?
Macaque, sorry. But they did like a llama thing, and I didn't think that was funny. But man, yesterday, that broadcast is just rolling the whole time. Berkey chirping James Duthie. He's like, "Did you miss me?" And Berkey's like, "No." And then they talked about whose book sold better. And
Yeah.
it was great. So
They brought out Angela James, which was fun.
yeah. And by the way, big shout out to, and I know she's new to the panels and stuff, but I first saw her last week. I guess she's done it before. Cheryl Pounder. Holy shit.
That's who they surprised Cheryl Pounder with Angela James.
Yes.
They gave her the jersey in that whole segment. It was good.
And friend of the show, Haley Salvian.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah, Haley was there.
And she was killing it.
Yeah,
She's killing
Doing
it.
some
Yeah.
Great Calgary info.
After her Olympic coverage, decided to give a pity appearance to the TSN trade
They did a
deadline.
mock draft of a new women's league. I was like, this is incredible.
Yeah,
Great idea.
She's one of those people who, in very short order, I'm like, oh, you're going to be all our boss soon. Like, just all of them, all of us.
Oh, she is already. You just don't know it.
Yeah, we're going to have to change the letters for SDPN.
Yeah, it'll be HSN. HSPN.
There you go.
HSPN. Okay, I like that.
There it is.
So here's the thing. The most important part, your whatever team your trade made, it sucks and it
cares?
pales in comparison to what's going on between Vegas and Anaheim. Currently still open. We still don't have an answer on whether this trade is going to be allowed. But the background is that the Vegas Golden Knights wanted Ryan Kessler's contract because they want to be able to put Kessler's LTIR. Or I'm assuming that they're not going to, wake Kess up from Kess's house, bring him over. Say, Kess, come out of your house and play for us.
I don't think he's playing anymore.
Yeah, LTIR. And they wanted that so they can go over the cap. Now, a comparable deal to that is Evgeny Dadonov, who first signed his contract in Ottawa, then was moved to Vegas, I believe, in the offseason, and then Vegas was moving him to Anaheim. Now, it's an interesting move because I got to say, Pat Verbeek had a really impressive deadline overall, I think. Did a good job. And Dadonov's one of those guys that, on a not as good team like the Ducks are, he's going to be probably a first-line winger or second-line winger, and he could score 25 goals.
He can score.
Yeah.
He's an incomplete player, but he can
put 25 in the net, right?
Yeah.
Which is great. And he's a $5 million player. So they try to make this move. And what comes out is that Dadonov has a no-trade clause that includes the Anaheim Ducks. It's a 10-team no-trader, and Anaheim is included.
It's a shame for Pat Verbeek for having a pretty good deadline and also being the only seemingly innocent party here.
Yes. So here's what we know. We know that Vegas tried to trade him. We know that Vegas was unaware that he had a no-trade clause. We know that there is a rumor floating around, an accusation that the Ottawa Senators, when they moved Dadonov to Vegas, did not include that piece of information.
But that is on Vegas to check. That's there.
Now, let me say this. What Jesse just said is exactly right. And they would have had to have the paperwork, because when you send a player, you have to send the contract to. And here's the other thing. The no trade clause was on Puckpedia. It was on Cap Friendly, public domain. Jesse, why is it Vegas's fault?
Because when they acquired Dadonov in the Ottawa trade, it's on them to make sure that they have all of the information about the player that they are acquiring.
No, wait, though. So Dadonov had the modified no trade clause.
10 team. Yep.
But Ottawa traded him, therefore waiving his no trade clause.
That is
the old rule.
That is a rule that was changed in the last CBA.
That's right.
Because they gave more power to the players, and once you're traded, you keep your no trade clause going forward. So his 10 team would have still been intact, and Vegas should have had that information when they're filing with the league about their new player, and they should have kept that on their records. And the NHL should have that record as well in their system, because they have to register that for each individual player in the entire NHL. And if they don't have this information, this is a crazy moment in the NHL that I don't think we're going to see again in the next decade.
I hope not.
This is wild.
This is sloppy as
right?
hell.
And it's particularly bad because Evgeny Dadonov, this wasn't an impulsive move. That's a complicated trade that they probably spent a long time on. His name has been in trade rumors for a long time because you look at Vegas's cap situation and he does not fit at all. They've had a long time to prepare for this. And for what? For what? All the money they paid for that team. They don't have a lawyer? They don't have anyone who can just look over the deal?
Now sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, the circumstances of how it broke down to is just even more fascinating because it happened at the deadline, because it was a 3 p.m. trade. So if the trade doesn't go through, there's no time for them to fix this situation. If this was a Saturday trade, if this was a Friday trade, it fails at league office. You have 24 hours to fix it. Go throw in a different player. But because it happened at the deadline, Vegas is fucked.
Well, and this is it, right? Because the rumor right now, as of the recording of the show, and again, we don't have any confirmation, is that this trade will be voided. Because they never requested, even if Dadonov does want to move, they never requested that he waive it, and it's too late. The deadline's over. And it's crazy in the era where it's a phone call and you don't have to fax in a trade that we're still dealing with this. But here's the problem, is it puts Vegas over the cap. And it puts them over the cap, so it could, if I'm reading this right.
Okay.
What I can't understand is their projected cap space is $0 according to Cap Friendly. But they could be millions of dollars over the cap by the end of the season. And that will eat into the salary for next season, because if you do go over during the regular season, it comes off next year.
No, we have seen that before. Teams go 1 or 2 million.
And we've sort of wondered why more teams don't do it, if you want to really go balls to the wall, right?
Well, especially, you know who should have, I think, maybe considered it, is a team like Minnesota.
Yeah, because they're going to get eaten alive anyway.
I mean, we're about to be in a world of hurt, so tell you what, I think our cap is $100 million this year.
Or even Boston.
Boston, I believe, has gone into overage before. Trying to think of other teams.
Your projected
Toronto may
cap
have, but it
space,
wasn't by much.
By the way, that is the cap space you'll have at the last day of the regular season. So if they're at 0, that's good.
Protection cap space is $0 on the dot. However, I don't know if that includes Dadonov or not.
Right.
It doesn't currently.
Okay.
Wait, is Kessler on the cap-friendly page?
Yeah.
Kessler's on the cap-friendly page.
So cap-friendly, the way they have the contract right now is if the trade went through.
Oh,
They haven't reversed it yet.
So this is another thing. Like, who are the other guys involved in this deal? And there's John Moore and there's someone else. Like, are all of these guys in limbo too?
Yeah, 100%.
No, it's only John Moore, Kessler, and Dadonov.
Yeah.
The other piece is a second-round pick that's conditional. So there's only those three guys, and one isn't playing, and one is an AHL.
Right. There's Dadonov, who's like, well, okay, I'm not fucking going. There's Kessler, like, well, I'm not playing anymore. And then there's John Moore, who, for all we know, could be in Anaheim right now because he's like, oh, all right, I was traded. And so he left.
Mm-hmm.
And also, he was traded. That's the second time John Moore was traded in the last, 3 days as well. He was involved in another deal. I can't remember with who. But he was definitely traded, within the past week. Jesse's on it. He's on it right now. He's so on it.
I just think...
Boston.
I thought it was
March 19th.
Steve, you said something about the Vegas Golden Knights that I have to take umbrage with. Professor umbrage with.
Oh.
And that is that this was not a move that was done without significant thought. And I have to tell you, if that were the case, we wouldn't be talking about it.
Right.
It would have just been a B or C trade on the list of many trades. And the reality is, the Vegas Golden Knights, perhaps more than you think, have flown by the seat of their pants for the better part of 2 years. And I think they did a really good job with the expansion draft. I don't think anybody can deny that. Stanley Cup Finals, I mean, my God.
Right.
But let's talk about signing Nate Schmidt and then basically booting him out the door when somebody better comes along.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about, not that it's wrong, but it's how they did it.
How about trading the Vezina winner than needing a goalie?
Well, and maybe you can't, if you look at Vegas's injuries, it's bad, right? You can't plan for that. But that's one goalie. There's only one goalie on injured reserve. Brossoit and Logan Thompson, one of those guys, and it would have been Brossoit, would have been the backup.
Yeah, but we acknowledge that at least part of Vegas's LTIR situation is their own doing.
I agree with that. And
it's not, oh, what? Did they ask guys to get hurt? There are guys who elected for surgery that in most other situations, they probably would have waited until the offseason.
Who is that?
Well, Mark Stone in particular. I think they probably would have waited.
Mm-hmm.
There are lots of players who could go and have surgery right now, right this very minute. They're dying for the offseason. Can't wait to go have the surgery and recover and finally not be in pain anymore. But I also kind of want to win the Stanley Cup.
Right. And I think this is a very good roster with everybody healthy. But you've got Pacioretty, Leonard, Smith, McNabb, Stone, Martinez, all on either injured reserve or long-term injury reserve. And beyond that, you talk about the Marc-Andre Fleury situation, and people are going to look at me and go, you do a show with Walsh, we get it. But remember that Marc-Andre Fleury was traded for essentially nothing, and he had just won the Vezina, and they didn't tell him. He found out on Twitter. They leaked it to an insider who then tweeted it, which is what an insider should do. I don't blame the insider. I think it's the right thing to do.
No.
Because as an insider, you probably go, can I tweet this? And they go, yes, and then you tweet it. But they didn't call him. That's public record. And I got to say, something that Brian Burke said on Sportsnet, it was either last trade deadline or last playoffs or something. Brian Burke fucking nailed this. Okay? And I disagreed with most of what Brian Burke said, even though I fucking love the guy. But he nailed this, and he said Vegas is developing a reputation with players, agents, and other organizations as flippant. Mm-hmm. And the flippancy is, and just let me explain this for one second. Sure. The flippancy is not cutthroat. Because a lot of people, whenever I bring this up, people are like, oh, they're just being cutthroat. Wouldn't you want your team to be like that? I agree. Cutthroat is how you have to be in professional sports. But you can be professionally cutthroat, or you can be sloppy cutthroat. Professional cutthroat is, fuck, this sucks. I really hate the organization for moving on from me, but I get it. I get it. They had to move on because they made their choice. They got to move on. And I can respect them for that. Sloppy is the first guy you picked in the expansion draft, face of the franchise, guy that brought you all the way to the Stanley Cup Finals. We're going to trade you and then not tell you. That's sloppy. Hey, we're gonna acquire a guy from the Ottawa Senators who also don't have their shit together. We'll talk about Travis Hamonic in a little bit.
Oh
here.
my God.
The story there is bananas.
What? Yeah.
But the Ottawa Senators, you don't double check that this guy doesn't have a no trade clause. Didn't you hire the guy who created the original Cap Friendly and Puckpedia?
The general manager.
Tom,
we had him on the show.
Tom, can you check Cap Friendly, the site that copied you? No offense, Cap Friendly. I love you guys. I was like, Tom was just the first one on it, wasn't he? Or maybe they were at the same time. I wasn't trying to be mean.
No,
I don't know.
they were same time.
Were they same time? Okay, then my bad, Cap Friendly. I love them. I love Cap Friendly. But the site that was almost identical.
Yeah.
It was there.
I think you might be thinking Cap Geek.
Was Cap Geek?
Which was the OG.
That was the OG. That's what I thought.
The OG.
It's my bad. And it was a brilliant idea.
Mm-hmm.
And this is exactly what Brian Burke was talking about. It's cutthroat, but it's sloppy, and you can't respect it.
And I'm going to suggest something. Vegas, if they get healthy, cup contender. It's really hard to fire GMs in this league. They usually get a lot of rope. Kelly McCrimmon hasn't been there for a very long time. If this trade doesn't go through and they miss the playoffs, he should be fired. And dude, Dale Talon was fired from the Chicago Blackhawks for a very similar clerical error.
Was he?
Yes. It was the Cam Barker contract. Remember that?
Can you explain it again? Like I remember there being a Cam Barker issue, but like,
it was
can you give me don't have to go into full detail.
Yeah, it was a very long time ago, and basically, some sort of paperwork was not filed in time, and I believe the Blackhawks were penalized somehow.
Woo. Yikes.
And then he was fired, and Stan Bowman came in, and there's lots of rumors surrounding all that.
Oh, there was some political maneuvering there,
yeah,
to be
sure. While Dale Talon was at the helm, whose fault actually was it? But yeah, that cost him his job.
Vegas currently, according to moneypuck.com, you can find this yourself, moneypuck.com/predictions. Super easy URL to remember. Vegas, it's so bizarre because I'm not sure who would take the spot from them. But Vegas's chances of making the Stanley Cup playoffs at this point are 42.
Oh my God, it's below zero.
Sorry,
below 50 now.
Sorry, 43%. Yeah.
Oh boy, that changed in a hurry, didn't it?
It did. They've had a ton of injuries. I get it, but
can Jack Eichel have a GM?
If you're in free, I know.
Holy shit!
If you're in free fall,
I think we can agree this isn't his fault.
Well, Sabres fans might disagree.
Well,
but I mean, if you're in free fall, doesn't it behoove you? Like, Dallas has a better shot. Vegas is currently ahead of Dallas right now, but they've got 5 games. Dallas has 5 games in hand. Dallas's chances are making it are somewhere in the neighborhood of like 63, 64%. Vegas.
I mean, the best thing Vegas has going for them is most of the teams behind them sold. Yeah. Not all of them. They're in deep shit. They'll be back
next year if everybody's healthy. But this year, if your team is in free fall, does it not behoove you to be extremely careful at the trade deadline?
You'd think so. Dude, does this happen in other sports?
Yes.
Where every couple years there's an incident where the league has to go, by the way, everyone, here are the rules. Remember that happened to Jim Benning with the Russian defenseman, the big Russian defenseman. I forget his name. He signed him to, I think it was a 3-year entry-level deal.
Okay.
But he was too old to sign to a 3-year entry-level deal. It was against the rules. You can only do a 2-year entry-level deal. So the NHL had to send an email league-wide. By the way, here are the rules.
Right.
There was a team, didn't the Calgary Flames offer sheet Ryan O'Reilly?
Yes. Yeah.
And even if they had gotten him, he would have had to go through waivers for some reason.
I don't remember how that worked.
Yeah, I don't remember how it worked.
I think
they
that
could have potentially given up a king's ransom and then lost him for free. Lost him for nothing. By the way, friend, here are the rules. This is what happens when you have the same 40 dudes for 32 jobs. This is what happens when you have to call Bill Daly and Gary Bettman for some unknown reason to be like, who should I hire? Why did you work your entire life just for Gary Bettman to tell you what to do. Get a clue. You're hockey. You're a hockey guy. You know, tough guy, alpha male, beating up people and shit. Make a decision for yourself. Nope. You're gonna go through the same pool of fucking guys who don't know the rules. We can agree that Vegas is one of the best teams in the NHL, right?
Yes.
Over the last half decade?
Absolutely.
Over the last half decade, one of the best teams in the NHL. Okay, does this not back my theory that the only reason someone wins the Stanley Cup every year is because they have to?
Well, I mean, if you're sloppy like they've been, and they have been sloppy, is that you do get paid back. Now,
it's one of the smartest teams in the NHL.
Next year, when Pacioretty and Stone and Leonard and everybody's back, I'll get this fucking thing tweeted back at me going, oh, you called them sloppy and they're a playoff team. That bare minimum, they should be a playoff team. That is not the goal here. Vegas should be contending.
Oh, because they won means they didn't make a mistake. You're right. I can't wait for some no brain cell idiot to fucking say that. Like, literally, like, okay, good teams make mistakes. This one's egregious.
It's bad.
This one's bad with huge multi-million-dollar implications for a billion-dollar hockey team.
I feel bad for Dadonov.
I feel bad for Dadonov too.
You know,
he probably left money on the table in order to get that no move clause. Like,
and then now he has to go back to the team, you know, because like this is all going to get resolved and it's not traded. And now he has to go back and play for Vegas. And he's like, you guys traded me when you weren't allowed to. And I didn't want to go to Anaheim. And now I have to play for you guys.
And that's the thing, too. Like, in other situations, they might be like, tell you what, just go home. But Vegas can't afford that.
No, they need him.
They need him to not just play, but play his ass off.
Is he a UFA at the end of this year?
I don't think so, no. He's got a big old deal.
Because if he was a UFA, I'd be like, oh, that's easy. He has one more year left.
Yeah, it was a 3-year, $15 million deal, wasn't it?
I thought it was 5 times 5.
No.
It's 5 times 3.
If you're a UFA this summer, it's easy. You wipe your hands and you never re-sign with Vegas again. But he's got another year to play. Do you request a trade?
Well, and now,
summer?
if you're another NHL team, you call up Vegas in the offseason and you go, well.
So you got this Dadonov you want to get off your hands.
Yeah. Hey, Kelly.
Who's your daddy now, Kelly?
Yeah, how's it going?
All right.
Pretty good, I hear.
That's something we should see at the draft or during free agency, but Dadonov's not long for Vegas if this is the case.
Can I also throw this out there? How do you feel if you're Dadonov?
Can I throw this out there? Was the question that Kelly McCrimmon asked. Sorry, what?
Do you not feel a little bad for Dadonov, who they tried to trade him? He earned this right. People are...
Somebody wasn't listening.
Oh, did you catch that? I was lining it up. Sorry. Oh, sorry. I wasn't.
We just had that conversation.
Did you say, okay, I feel bad for him? Well, I feel bad for him too. There you go. Sorry.
Me too, man.
Sorry. I was pulling some stuff. The Leafs just dropped their new jerseys.
See, I thought I did.
So I wanted to get that. And then I wanted to queue up the next thing, which is Travis Hamonic.
Okay.
That's my bad. That's my bad. I sent Jesse a link on the Leafs jerseys. We'll get to that in a little bit.
So I know you're trying to transition to the Sens. We haven't talked about them enough here. So Vegas's accusation, or whoever's accusation, that Ottawa didn't tell Vegas about this deal, it's totally unacceptable.
Oh yeah, and you know what? I don't doubt them. I agree with them. Ottawa probably didn't tell them because they don't have to. Look at the contract.
Even like if Ottawa didn't, that's bad. And it's still not an excuse.
Agreed. But Ottawa doesn't need to do that. Here's the contract.
Agents are so often consulted in these situations. And
you mean the Vegas Golden Knights didn't call an agent?
Well, that's my assumption.
Shock.
Okay, either he's got the worst agent in the world, or they didn't consult him, because I assume that agent would have been like, no, he has a no trade clause and doesn't want to go to fucking Anaheim.
Class, need I direct you to the Marc-Andre Fleury situation where they didn't tell the player, they didn't tell the agent, but they told the insider, and that's how they found out on Twitter.
Oh, baby.
They don't call the agent. They've done this before.
I'm trying to find out who his agent is.
Puckpedia of Evgeny Dadonov. I'm going to look it up too.
I got it.
Puckpedia, by the way, super underrated website.
Yes, it is. So
Maxime Molver? I don't know how to say it.
I believe you. Here, I'm going to...
Molver? Don't try and use the correct pronunciation.
No, you're really good at the names. Maxime Molivet, I'm going to say. Or Molliver. I'm going to say Molliver. Now, let's play a fun game called Does He Have Any Other Vegas Clients? Because if he does, it's going to be very funny. Agent Maxime Oliver. Why can't I find it?
This is great.
He does not. Sorry.
He does.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah.
Dadonov.
Pavel Dorovev.
Oh!
Yeah.
So Dadonov is listed as a duck on Puckpedia, and that's how I missed it.
That's funny.
Yeah, this is dude.
Like
This is how
definitely
do you
dude.
How do you go to Vegas? How do you go to Vegas? It was
I think you still go because it's great. But I think what Vegas needs to do is to take a good, long, hard look in the mirror and go, this is our eggs on our face. Nobody needs to lose their job over this, but there's some egg on our face. We got to change the way we do business.
the directive from ownership is ruthless pursuit of the Stanley Cup.
Which I love.
Elliot
How great is that?
Elliot Friedman and Jeff Merrick have said it over and over again. It's ruthless pursuit of a Stanley Cup.
Not sloppy pursuit of a Stanley Cup.
Yeah, but like you're going to, when you literally don't care about the people who play for your organization, you're going to be sloppy. And how do you instruct the Vegas Golden Knights organization to care? It's funny that the show started with the conversation
An
about
ownership.
caring. I don't know.
You own a
how-
company.
Yeah.
You want people to care. That's how you do it. The owner goes, hey, guys, can you care?
Yeah, but what if you've already told them not to care for several years, and now all of a sudden they have to?
You're the only one who can. It comes from the top.
But what I'm saying is you cannot, okay, and now we all care. No, like caring is, like, I don't think that's a business thing. It's not a hockey thing. That's a person thing. And if you don't give a shit about people, I don't know if that's a skill you can learn. You either do or you don't.
Scrooge learned it in one night.
It's true. But it took 3 ghosts, Adam.
Well, what was your favorite cereal growing up? Go.
Fruit Loops.
Jesse.
The spicy ones.
Stop it. Stop it. All I'm trying to do is introduce you to Magic Spoon and its deliciousness.
The jalapenos cereal.
Cereal upsets my stomach, except for Magic Spoon doesn't, because it's good for you. 0 grams of
Habanero
sugar.
honeycomb.
0 grams of sugar. 13 to 14 grams of protein. Only net 4 grams of carbs for each serving. It's keto friendly. It's gluten free. It's grain free. It's soy free. It's low carb, and it won't upset your tummy like it does with me.
Jalapeno free.
Build your own box. Available flavors are amazing: cocoa, fruity frosted,
Scotch
peanut
bonnet.
butter, blueberry cinnamon cookies and cream, and maple waffle. None of them are spicy. They're all good. And by the way, the promo code is SDP. We got something amazing for you. You go to magicspoon.com/SDP and use the promo code SDP for $5 off your order. In addition to your cereal boxes, be sure to grab some cereal bars while supplies last.
Whoa.
And Magic Spoon is so confident you're going to like their product. It's backed by a 100% happiness guarantee. So if you don't like it for any reason, they will refund your money, no questions asked. Again, that's magicspoon.com/SDP to get $5 off a custom bundle of cereal or to try out their delicious new cereal bars while supplies last. And for Canadian and British fans, sorry everybody else, Magic Spoon is now shipping to Canada and the UK. Thank you, Magic Spoon, for sponsoring this episode. By the way, they do ship to the US. I shouldn't mention that.
Oh.
You know what's
Balls!
It's got it.
That could be the whole ad.
It could. You know what we're talking about, right? Right?
Your balls.
It's Dangle. 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 Go to manscaped.com. You're going to get 20% off and free shipping with the code. What code?
Dangle.
Thank you. At manscaped.com. 20% off
balls again.
free shipping. You can do that if you want to. Let's talk about the number one product in the package, the Lawnmower 4.0. It's an electric trimmer. It's designed to trim hair on loose skin, which avoids nicks and cuts. And the package also includes the Weed Whacker, the nose and ear hair trimmer to whack all the worst of your weeds. Now, let me ask you this. Have you had the moment where your partner has pointed out to you that you have ear hair? Are you at that age yet? because I am.
Oh, ear hair.
Ear hair.
That's
what the weed whacker's for.
Has your partner pointed out your hair? And I'm like,
No,
I mean,
ear hair.
I thought you were thinking about the downstairs region.
That's what I was.
I said ear hair. Did I not say
He
ear
said
hair?
it, and I don't know where your mind went.
No, like,
He's always thinking
I
about my
thought he was
downstairs.
all Canadian.
Oh,
like, hey,
gosh.
she ever talk about your hair?
No,
Nope.
ear hair.
But ear hair.
Have you? I'm assuming no.
No, not yet.
Yeah, so Natalie
I've
said
had the
that to me the other
conversation
week.
with myself.
Okay, well,
Okay. This was off the rails.
I used the weed whacker last week. I obviously had nose hair. I'm looking how hairy I am, but ear hair, I was like, oh my god, I'm becoming my father. So if you want to avoid that, you want to keep it trimmed, go to manscaped.com. Use that promo code Dangle. Manscaped has created their products for you. And they want to offer you 20% off and free shipping with the code Dangle. Again, manscaped.com, promo code Dangle. Your balls will thank you.
And so will your ears.
Anyway, can I move to the Ottawa now?
No.
I want to read this piece from Thomas Drance and Rick Dollywall, two of the best sports reporters in Vancouver. They're so great, and Rick's show is great, and you should watch it. They wrote it was they summarized in the Athletic the Canucks a deadline and why they did what they did and why they hung on to Shen and JT Miller didn't get traded, et cetera, et cetera. You can look all that up yourself. But they titled this the Hamonic thing because everybody was like, the Senators bought on trade deadline and they bought Travis Hamonic. If this was 6 years ago, I'd be like, hey, good pickup.
It's the most confusing trade of the weekend.
This is unquestionably one of the worst signings that Jim Benning ever made because there were issues with, I believe earlier this year, they re-signed him, but he was not vaccinated. So there was issues with him playing, from what I understand. And
there's dispute on that.
is there? Okay, I'm just telling you what I remember. So
Well, the
please.
dispute is he was out for, yes, he was unvaccinated, but he was out for other reasons.
Okay.
And some people think that's convenience. Other people take him at his word.
It's how we know.
It was a very confusing saga to follow.
Either way, he was barely playing, and he was making $3 million this year, and $3 million next. And here's what I love about how vicious the Vancouver Canucks see themselves right now is this is insane. New Canucks leadership recognizes there's a lack of talent and a lack of structure within the organization at present.
Oof.
That applies both to the way the club plays on ice and the way it prepares off. Now, fast forwarding to the Hamonic thing, let me read this. Lots of folks around the industry were stunned that the Canucks were able to jettison Travis Hamonic's entire contract without taking money back in the deal. That they got a third-round pick in the process was gravy. It was, truly, an unlikely and remarkable heist. An indication that when gauging market value, all it takes is one sufficiently motivated buyer to upend the preconceived notions of the entire industry. The deal was all the more remarkable because there were no other bidders involved. The Senators were the only suitor for Hamonic, the only team that expressed interest.
Like, nothing about this deal makes sense from Ottawa's perspective.
Other than he's a warm body who's going to play for them next year, which they're going to have problems finding.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but they suck.
That's why.
So you give up a third? They gave up a third, man. And from an Ottawa Senators perspective, okay, he makes a bunch of money. Well, surely the actual money he makes is less than his cap hit.
Mm-hmm.
That's something they've done before. He makes more. He's got a $3 million cap hit and makes 3.25 next year and has a signing bonus. What are they doing? What are they doing? And then the Canucks turn around and they get younger,
More cap space.
more versatile, cheaper Travis Dermott for the same price. This team, Ottawa, the third should have been coming to them. The Canucks desperately need that cap space. Badly. They need it. Badly. And it's like the Sens were frothing at the mouth like, yes, I want Travis Hamonic. At all costs, Travis Hamonic. It's a nonsensical move. It's a nonsensical move from where they are on the ice. It's a nonsensical move from where they are financially.
Mm-hmm.
It's a nonsensical move for what they plan on doing in the future. It's nonsense. and maybe it's not the biggest deal because like let's face it, it's not like the Sens are in danger of hitting the cap. Right?
Yeah, it made sense from the perspective that they need, like Adam said, warm bodies, and it's $3 million on your cap next year, and it's a right-handed defenseman. You're guaranteeing this player is on your roster.
Sure,
but is there not another guy out there who's younger and a better price? And then you outline, oh yeah, Travis Dermott was the exact same price, is younger and is less money.
Yeah, or at very least, you're the team who gets the pick
for taking on that salary.
The Sens did the Canucks a favor.
Here's the other thing. So if you look at Ottawa media, Ian Mendez wrote an article and it talked about it a little bit today. But
Ian's so good.
So Ian, I love Ian. But Mark Mathot, who is super pro Senators all the time, despite what the Senators throw at him,
and anti-Leafs
for sure, and he trolls Leafs fans. He's good at it. But he said Hamonic is a weird acquisition for sure. I honestly haven't followed the ice of the player for some time. I could say this: I know lots of players. All of them have told me that the new acquisition is a bit of a different bird. Not sure that's what I'd want around a young core. Of course, I could be wrong. The problem is I'm usually correct. So,
he's questioning the person you're bringing into the locker room.
Yes, and so here's what Pierre Dorian said, and I just thought you guys would find this interesting. So I want to read this and let you guys bounce it around. He said, he 100% stands behind the deal. Well, he made it. Of course he does.
Pierre Dorian always sounds like he's being held at gunpoint.
When he got home, he said, quote, "The girlfriend told me not to check social media because in older generations, they refer to their partners as the girlfriend."
This is a quote?
Yeah, he said the girlfriend. That's the top quote in the article. By the way, referring to your girlfriend as an object is probably something you shouldn't do anymore. But that doesn't make the top 10 rankings list of things that Ottawa management has done in the last 10 years that are bad.
I'm uncomfortable.
Or maybe it does. I'm extremely uncomfortable. And you should be uncomfortable with that quote. It's an uncomfortable quote. That's why I brought it up. He said, let's not fool ourselves. I don't think Hamonic's the top guy that he used to be, like in 2017 when Calgary paid 2 second-round picks in a first for him. But I think sometimes you don't give a chance to players. Give this guy a chance. He wants to prove how important of a player he can be here. When Dorian was asked directly on Monday if Hamonic would slide into a top 4 role, the GM was somewhat elusive. He said, I think we'll just let the chips fall where they fall. I think Travis has a lot of good hockey left and he's got to prove it. I'm not going to say he's going to be first pair or second pair or third pair. Wherever he plays, he'll play.
That's fair. You can't project the roster 6 months in advance for a team.
Right.
The last part's fair, but everything else is just such a question mark.
No, you missed this quote, Adam. The old ball and chain told me to avoid cap friendly.
Yeah, that's
well.
So here's what the Senators have under contract next season.
Oh no,
for the defensive core,
definitely Brady Tkachuk.
Shabbat, $8 million cap hit, worth it, I think.
Yep.
Artem Zub, $2.5 million. Nick Holden, $1.3. Nikita Zaitsev, still making $4.5 million. And remember we had Senators fans going, "Thank you for Nikita Zaitsev.
You know
He's
what?
He's so great." No, you're not. You're not saying that now, are you?
Let him have the 1 year.
Michael Del Zotto, $2 million next year as well.
Who they what?
Yeah, and
he makes pardon.
And Travis Hamonic for $3 million next season. And you got Lassie Thompson and Jacob Bernard Docker as well.
For all you,
and by the way, Eric Brandstrom is not included in that table.
Yeah, they're gonna have trouble hitting the floor. Like they're gonna need some more people. But Travis, it seems like they wanted Travis Hamonic, the guy, no matter what. I don't know why Dorian wanted him really badly, but that's the guy he sought out, even though nobody else was looking for him, and he paid to get him when he should have been helping Vancouver, or he's helping Vancouver, so he should have gotten something to take him off their hands.
There are 30 NHL teams.
By the way, so Del Zotto is coming up from Belleville. He hasn't played since November in the NHL. Now, the Ottawa Senators, who are broke and don't like paying bonus payments, are on the hook for Zaitsev and Hamonic, $3.5 million this summer.
And they're going to have to pay. Oh, my God.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't get it.
They did sign Anton Forsberg.
I like that deal.
Yeah, that was a great deal.
I like that deal for them.
He's been playing really well.
But and here's the other thing. So, the Nick Paul trade. Nick Paul drafted, developed. They wanted to sign him to, I think it was 3 years, $10 million. He wants 12. So you are
per year.
Yeah, no.
Connor McDavid.
3 years. So you're $750,000 apart. You meet in the middle. Costs you like $11 million.
That's how that's how cash strapped they are.
Right. If they're cash strapped, though, why are you going out? I would have kept my 3rd round pick, signed Nick Paul, and gone, who else can I pick up from the dumpster?
Yeah, this is the super confusing thing about that deal is, like, some people didn't understand why I hated the Nick Paul trade. It's not even that it's the worst deal in a vacuum. It's when you consider the other stuff they did, it makes no sense. It makes no sense.
And he wanted to stay. He was talking about staying. Now, Matthew Joseph's coming the other way. He's won a couple cups. That's great.
He's a good player.
But is he Nick Paul?
And
that's not his fault, by the way.
Nick Paul, I think, is a great fit for Tampa, and he'll play deeper in Tampa's lineup. Matthew Joseph, I think the Sens are a great match for him because he'll play higher in their lineup and hopefully put up a bunch of points so that he can go make more money elsewhere. Because, dude, you're not going to get it there. They don't pay anyone except for when they very mysteriously do. So, I don't understand.
So this is what I want to ask you. And I thought about the two of you immediately, as I often do when hockey stuff happens. I'm like, I got to bring this up with Steve and Jesse.
I think about you all the time.
This is what I thought about. Okay. We all knew there would be a time when Pierre number 1 would be supplanted by Pierre number 2. You knew that, right? You knew that. I'm looking at you in the camera. You knew, right? You knew. You knew that there would be a time when Maguire would supplant Dorian. Oh, by the way, you forgot? That's right. The Senators, the cash-strapped Senators, went and hired Pierre Maguire, who used to make $1 million a year for NBC, so I can only imagine he's making somewhere close to that with Ottawa. They went out and they signed Pierre Maguire to Liège. And everybody's like, Pierre Dorian's like, I'm thrilled. I can't wait. Guys, everything Pierre Dorian has done to this point feels like Pierre Dorian. I think you got a feel for what Pierre Dorian is. This smells like Pierre Maguire. With the exception of Matt Murray, which is just a terrible signing. But at the time I was like, hey, you want 2 cups? I was the one going, the Leafs should get him.
Yeah,
Wrong.
but you weren't saying
Wrong.
You weren't saying sign him to 6 1/4.
No, I wasn't. No, I was not. I think there was going to be a time and a place where this happened. That's Pierre Maguire. He's a domineering guy. He's a big personality.
I think I found it, by the way.
What is it?
Travis Hamonic played for the Canadian World Junior Team.
Oh, no.
So Pierre knows him well.
You mean
gosh darn right I know him well. He was drafted by the Calgary Flames, and then he went... Oh, my God.
Islanders, wasn't it?
Actually, yeah, it was the Islanders. Yeah. Thank you.
Anyway, long story short. Ooh, interesting. Now,
I don't get it.
Am I wrong, though? Does that smell like Pierre Maguire? Do you guys agree with that?
Oh, it was the first name I thought of.
Okay. Jesse, you're usually the voice of reason.
I don't know. Somebody seems to really like Travis Hamonic, the player in particular, and they went out and they specifically got him. Like, that's the scenario. He's on the market, and somebody within that organization, whether it's Dorian, whether it's Maguire, whether it's a scout, somebody really liked that one player, so they paid a price for him when it was completely unnecessary, and there's just as talented, if not more talented, defensemen on the market.
I think the worst teams lack purpose. The Senators didn't lack purpose here. They had a very distinct purpose. We are doing this. And I think it was the wrong purpose.
With their rebuild, and they said, remember before the season started that the rebuild's over. It's not. One of the things that we've talked about, they've done some really good things. But we always ask with teams that are underperforming, what are you? What are the Senators going to be? Like, if you see a rebuild happening, we saw it happen with the Leafs. The Leafs are going to be smaller, skilled. They're going to score a bunch of goals and they'll let in a bunch of goals. We saw that. We knew what that was going to be. 2016 through 2019, that's what it was, right? Mm-hmm. What are the Ottawa Senators in their rebuild aiming to be at their best in a year or two? They think.
Mean.
A
lot of the biggest overachieving teams. Okay, here's what they improved. The Senators need to be an overachiever. Overachieving teams in the NHL are often meaner than yours and have better goaltending. They locked up their best goaltender. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
And they got Meaner. That's good. They are trying to get Zachary Senyshyn, who will hopefully be a value pickup for them. We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to get Matthew Joseph to be a value pickup for them. We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
Hamonic's mean.
Right.
Dude, it's not good.
With the team this year, I know they've struggled to score goals. I know they're in the bottom, 25 of goals for per game. And defensively, they've been okay. They've been able to play a slower hockey where they can limit the chances of the other team, but they just can't score right now. And I don't know how anything they've done recently can help that situation where they're going to improve offensively. You're hoping for all of their prospects to just improve with age, hoping to get better because they're just getting older. And I don't know how that's if it changes in the future, cool. If they all turn into superstars, that's amazing. But they're not actively trying to get better in any way right now, even though they struggled all year.
Can I throw this out there?
Throw it.
The Canucks probably got more for Travis Hamonic than the Philadelphia Flyers got for Justin Braun.
What was the Justin Braun trade?
It was also a third.
Third round.
But it's a third from the Rangers instead of the Ottawa freaking Senators.
Was it the Ottawa's third? Or was because they had 3 third.
They had
winners. Good point.
Yeah.
Good point.
No, it wasn't their third round pick because they still have their.
No, Vancouver got more than.
Well, it was they were both thirds, and what I was trying to say is Ottawa's going to have one of the worst thirds because they stink. But if it's not their actual third,
let me
then
see
it doesn't
whose
matter.
third
Hold on,
it
though.
was.
But the Vancouver Canucks got a better third than Philadelphia did.
That's what I'm trying to say.
No,
they
because
did.
Ottawa
I
didn't
have-
send their third.
Oh, they
I have
did.
the wrong
no,
one.
that's what
My
we're
bad.
saying.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
And is that the one that the Winnipeg was the one they sent to Toronto? So it's Winnipeg's third to Toronto for Travis Dermott, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I think it was Vancouver's third that Ottawa sent back.
I'm honestly not totally sure.
Interesting.
Yeah, it is. It's Vancouver's third they sent back.
That's just what a mess, man.
It's
so
a mess.
Vancouver reacquired their third round.
Hey, let's talk about HelloFresh. With HelloFresh, you get farm-fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. Skip steps to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. That's why it's America's #1 meal kit,
Number one.
Number one. Yeah. See, HelloFresh has fit and wholesome recipes for satisfying and nutritious meals that you can feel good about. With
Like
up
what?
to 6 recipes per week. You could choose from them. And there are low-calorie and carb-conscious options. But here's what I love. It's a bit cold still, right? A little spring warmth. How about that in your meal? Warm yourself up from the inside out with the limited-time recipes inspired by cozy classics from around the world like beef tenderloin and cheese fondue
Give me that.
or miso sesame shrimp and bacon ramen.
I want those.
Right? Well, if you want them, check this out. Go to HelloFresh.com/STP16. That's SDP16. Why 16, you ask?
2016 was a great year for the Leafs.
Hopefully it will be. But no, 16 free meals and 3 gifts. You get up to 16 free meals and 3 gifts. All you have to do is go to HelloFresh.com/SDP16. Again, it's HelloFresh.com/SDP16. Do it!
It was a great year.
Is your company or business having a tough time hiring the people that you need?
Ugh, I can't stand the people I work with. Oh.
We are here. The mic's on.
Oh, my bad.
Listen, there are 46% more jobs being posted than before the pandemic and 44% fewer candidates applying for each one. So you need to find the right candidates. You need to hire them fast, and Workable can help. Here's the thing. Workable casts the widest net possible by posting your jobs to all the top job boards, over 200 in total, in one click. It's amazing. It also helps you evaluate and hire people quickly with modern tools like video interviews and e-signatures. And Workable will help you automate repetitive tasks like, scheduling interviews so you can spend time on what's important and making hires. Whether you're hiring for a coffee shop or your engineering team, Workable is exactly what you need to find the right people fast. And starting today with a risk-free 15-day trial, if you hire someone during the trial, so you sign up for this, you hire somebody during that 15-day trial, which many do, it will not cost you a thing. Go to Workable.com to start hiring. Workable is hiring made easy. So, Steve, you can hire whoever you want.
Thank goodness.
Let's move on to the Toronto Maple Leafs here.
Woo!
Now, we'll start with the trades that were, and then we'll move on to the trade that wasn't.
You want a full circle thing before you do that?
Yeah, please.
That that Vancouver third that Ottawa sent for Hamonic was acquired by Ottawa in the Dadon trade. Isn't that funny?
So they got the Dadon third and they flipped it for Hamonic. So they traded Dadon for Hamonic.
So Ottawa acquired Vancouver's third and Nick Holden for Dadon in the trade where they didn't also send the no trade list. And then now they had sent that third round pick back to Vancouver for the Hamonic.
So they traded,
and Vancouver had originally sent that third round pick to Vegas for Nate Schmidt.
Who? So that's a Dadon for Hamonic and Nick Holden.
So that's really confusing. Did they basically trade Nate Schmidt for Travis Dermott?
Well, that's not the same pick.
Yeah,
but
we're talking about
okay,
it's a
fine.
different pick.
It's very confusing.
Yeah, it's crazy. Hey, so let's talk about what the Leafs did do. Okay, the Leafs.
How much time you want to spend on Alex Biega?
No time on Alex Biega, because on that part of the trade deadline, I don't care. How did the Leafs do? Mark Giordano, Colin Blackwell, Ilya Lyubushkin. I include in that too.
I agree.
Okay, you get two pretty solid defensemen. Lyubushkin's come in and done a great job. He's done exactly what he was built to do. Nothing on offense. Kind of a Gandalf. You shall not pass on defense.
Yep.
He is what they told me Martin Marincin was for years, but never was.
Martin Marincin, but understands how his size.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. He moves people. Mark Giordano, not as much to offer on the offensive side anymore, but defensively, he's still very strong. And also, let's be honest, any offensive numbers you look at from Mark Giordano have to be viewed under the lens of he played for Seattle and they suck, and they're worse than the Coyotes this year. They are actually worse than the Coyotes.
Yep. No, I'm just so glad Brody and Giordano, two Toronto boys, getting to live their dream playing for the Leafs
and playing with each other.
Yeah.
And Colin Blackwell, who's an energy left winger, which they needed. You would think that he was going to be brought in to be like depth, maybe third, fourth line. Yeah. But I think
play center.
I think they give him a shot on Tavares and Nylander's line.
I agree.
Now, how do you feel about the trade deadline? How did you guys feel about walking away from that as a Leafs fan?
They didn't. I mean, okay, they still have Matthew Nyes. That was my number one fear, is they would trade him. They still have their first round pick. There was a tweet out there from Nick Alberga about, like, I don't understand the reluctance for the Leafs or the Oilers to spend their first round pick if you're in a win now mode. And I understand that thinking. I just don't think there was a deal out there that made sense.
Who are you going to get?
Exactly.
You're going to get Mark. We'll talk about the trade that didn't happen, but it's Marc-Andre Fleury.
Right. So there was that, and that would have been interesting. But they didn't spend ginormously, and they're a better team. So they didn't give up any of their most important assets. They didn't give up any of the prospects they've cleverly drafted and developed, and they got better. Is that not the perfect scenario? I mean, you don't get anything for free. So isn't this great?
Especially at the trade deadline where you're overpaying.
Especially at the trade deadline. I think they did a great job.
Jesse?
Yeah, the issues to fix were on the defense and in goal, and maybe you get a depth piece in forward. They got 2 out of the 3. And the goalie situation, there was no goalie out there to get. So how can you ask, if you're asking Dubas to go get a goalie, he tried to on for signing the European free agent. But
Hari Sateri, I don't think was going to solve the situation.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you look at the goaltending situation, you're okay with what you have with going forward. You're okay with Shalgren and Mrazek and Campbell. It's okay. And then Giordano and Blackwell, they're good pieces to add. And that's all you want because the offense is fine. This team can score at will at any moment, it seems like, this entire year. And then, the depth on defense, when you add Giordano, he's still 2 years removed from a Norris Trophy. He's still a good player. He's still very talented, and he's repaired with Brody. It's going to be fun.
Latest from Elliot Friedman on Dadonov, and you're listening to this. You probably already know these answers, but somehow in a trade call from Ottawa to Vegas, a team Dadonov could not block. Obviously, Vegas was not on the no trade. The Golden Knights in the NHL were led to believe protection had expired / not been filed properly. But there was correspondence proving no trade paperwork filed correctly and on time June 30th. He said, so we'll wait and see how this is adjudicated.
So the Golden Knights are accusing the Sens of screwing them.
Yeah. This will be interesting. Still, it's sloppy. You should still check. If the correspondence and paperwork was with NHL registry, which it would have to have been, you could have called.
That's fascinating. I'm interested. Like, how do you punish whom?
Yeah, well, we'll see. Probably nobody gets punished. Now,
I don't think so.
I got to talk about this. With the Leafs. What I like with Giordano especially, Lyubushkin already gave them some of this. Muzzin is out, right?
Mm-hmm.
You needed left side help. You got a guy who's experienced, a guy who's done it with the Flames, a guy who's led, good person, wants to play here. That's important in Toronto. It
might resign.
Might resign at a reasonable deal. What Mark Giordano and Lyubushkin give you are flexibility. You know, Jake Muzzin's out, and I don't know if Jake Muzzin's ever going to be, and I say this honestly, I don't think anybody quite knows. I know he's skating. Is he going to be healthy enough to play hockey again at a level that's acceptable in the NHL? It's not that he can't put on skates. My question is, can he grind day to day? And if he can, you know that by the playoffs, and I know that by the playoffs, Jake Muzzin isn't going to be 100% healthy. You know that.
No.
So, what do? Well, you got Riley, who's had a great year.
Mm-hmm.
You got Giordano.
Mm-hmm.
And if Muzzin is healthy enough and good enough, you shelter him on the third pair. He's still a bastard to play against.
Mm-hmm.
He's still a guy that the Leafs absolutely love. He's going to go to war for you, but you don't have to play him 22 minutes a night.
And this pushes down one of Hall, Liljegren, or Sandin.
Sandin's going to be out for a while, they said.
Yeah.
Out indefinitely.
But when he's healthy, there's one roster spot for those three. Riley's in, Lyubushkin's in, Brody's in, Giordano's in. Muzzin's in, and then what? It's Sandin on the right, or Liljegren, or Hall.
I think we have to rule out Sandin. Like, I don't think we should be planning for Sandin to be back.
They said out indefinitely. They said a long
Well, I didn't. It was when they announced his injury yesterday. I was like, really?
Yeah.
When? When did this happen? So, okay, fine. Then you're looking at Riley Lyubushkin, Giordano Brody, and then probably Muzzin
Liljegren. And I would give it to Liljegren because I think he's earned it.
Yeah, that's a really tough call. But tough call. But either way, it's better that any of those guys, instead of playing out of their depth, are on the third pair.
Think about it like this. When the Leafs played Columbus and when the Leafs played Montreal last year, their shutdown pair was Hall Muzzin. Now, those guys are probably the third pair.
Yeah.
That's a marked improvement. And so, listen, I'm not a head in the clouds Leaf fan here. I have my worries, goaltending chief among them. I don't think there was a deal to be made with goaltending. And I think I haven't minded Lyubushkin Riley at all.
No.
I'm curious about Brody and Giordano reuniting. I think that'll be interesting.
I think it's sort of like a top pair by committee. It's just
Sure.
a really solid top four and a dependable, well, I say a dependable third pair when we don't even know who's going to play on it.
Mm-hmm.
I think the third pair is going to be an experiment. I haven't seen the line rushes from today, or I guess the Leafs don't play till tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I wouldn't be totally shocked to see like Kiwi Halmy and Duzak potentially play.
Don't you give him a try? What about Mac Hollowell?
Yeah, well, I don't know about Kiwi Halmy because he friggin' almost hurt Spezza yesterday, so I'm upset.
Okay.
At practice, but no, yeah, I think they're gonna try, guys.
Now
you got 20 games left. There's a 20-game practice till game one of the playoffs. Like that's the rest of the season here because the East is entirely solved, the top 8, and it's just where they're all going to slot in. Who cares if the Leafs fall back a little? I want to see Keith for the next 20 games just try out everything he's got. Like all of these extra forwards. If Simmons doesn't crack the lineup anymore, if you want to try Spezza a little up in the lineup or out of the lineup, I want to see it. If Blackwell makes it to the second line, I want to see that. And I want to see all these defense pairings. Like we got 20 games here to try out everything, and whatever works the best, that's what you go with game one at the playoffs. And hopefully the goalie situation is also solved by then.
It's a paper improvement to me because last year they were good. They needed depth, so they went out and got it. This year they're good, and the extras in the lineup are guys they already have.
Yeah. The other thing I want to say about the first round pick, so let's talk about the deals. We're talking about the deals that happened. Let's talk about the deals that didn't happen. When it comes to the first round pick, when I understand I understand where Nick Alberga was going there with Edmonton and Toronto specifically having goaltender issues. You know, Edmonton didn't have any money to spend, and that's their own fault. And they had goaltending issues, and they didn't solve them last summer. We knew that. Jack Campbell, falling off a cliff after the beginning of the season, nobody really was going to foresee that, right? Like, we were talking about him like he should be in contention for the Olympic team. He was that good.
The Olympic team, the Vezina,
like he was amazing.
I forgot about that.
And so listen, mid-season, not a lot of goalies move. and there wasn't a thing out there to be bought. My question for everybody that's like, why do they still have their first round pick? Well, first off, they traded it 3 or 4 years so far, so that's part of it.
That's a lot.
The fact that they even have high caliber talent in the system the way they do is amazing. What do you want? What do you really want? Like, let me ask you, like, what do you really want that you think a first round pick would get you?
You need a right-handed defender, ideally right-handed, who's going to be not just good but great this year and going forward.
Does a first round pick get you that?
No, it would have to be first and
Nyes or Abruzzese or
because remember, Leaf fans, your first round pick is a piece of shit. Like most teams don't want it. It's like 25th.
It's
right?
It's almost a second, right?
Yeah. Ideally, it's 32nd.
That'd be great.
But it's like even if they go out in the first round, it's going to be in like the 20s.
Yep.
Like the mid 20s. That sucks. It's if you look at the draft pick value charts, like the first 15 picks, like that's a different breed. But after that, there's a sharp drop off, and by the time you get to the mid 20s, forget about it. It might as well be a second.
There's no conceivable difference. They said between 20 and 40 or 45 in terms of like
it's negligible
over the course of 10 years when they did these sorts of studies, right?
Yeah.
Obviously everybody was talking about the Fleury Hagel for Nyes, either first rounder or multiple first rounders, and Mrazek's contract. That was the reported contract. Now we don't know whether a lot of people are out there assuming that Fleury was asked to waive his no trade and said no. To be honest with you, I haven't read that anywhere. That just floated around on Twitter, and I think somebody made that up.
No, because people are dumb. Like people are like, oh, okay. Hari Sateri was a lot of people's Stanley Cup yesterday.
We'll talk about that.
No, because it was funny.
It was funny.
But it's funny to say Fleury said no to Toronto. He literally didn't.
Yeah.
I saw people responding to the Darren Dreger tweet that says in it, in plain English, it didn't get as far as Fleury being asked to waive his no trade. And people are like, this guy said no to Toronto! Ah! No, you just can't read.
Yeah, Dreger made sure to include that information. This was a leak of negotiations, which Kyle Dubas had I don't know if we're going to get
to that too.
But Kyle Dubas had a big problem with that. But it was just they were talking, him and Davidson, and I don't know how it got out, but Dreger decided to tweet it. And this was the cost. And I don't blame Dubas for not paying that.
Well, think about here's what Tampa paid. Okay. And you just said the first round picks aren't as great.
Tampa's are a hunk of shit.
Yeah, they are. So the Blackhawks got Boris Kachuk and Taylor Radish. First round pick in 2023, 2024 as well. Both are top 10 protected. And
Smart.
for Hagel. So they got 2 first rounders and 2 players. And Radish is a roster player. For
Chicago,
especially in Chicago.
Didn't he have a goal? Or one of them had a point in their Chicago debut?
Sure.
Yeah.
And good for them. Somebody's got to score for Chicago. But Hagel is one of those guys that on Tampa, he's like their next Blake Coleman, right? He's the guy, and he's under team control for the next 2 years at $1.5 million, which Tampa desperately needs. We know that, right?
Yep.
So
great deal.
And he scores, he's on track to score some goals and that sort of thing. But Fleury and Hagel, so Fleury's on an expiring contract. No guarantee he resigns. No guarantee the Leafs can afford to resign him. Mm-hmm. Then you got Hagel, and you got Matthew Nyes. Now, Matthew Nyes played for the American Olympic team. Matthew Nyes is a very good player. He's probably the top prospect coming out of the NCAA.
19.
And I can guarantee you the reason that Dubas was pissed about that Davidson thing is not about the Marc-Andre Fleury stuff. It's he's trying to sign Matt Nyes to play for the Leafs after the college hockey season is done.
This season.
Right now.
They have 2 spots, right? So you can have 50 players signed. They have 2 spots. And they have their eyes on Matthew Nyes and Nick Abruzzese, both of whom might play for the Leafs this year. Both of whom were on the American Olympic team.
I think that deal, if the Leafs did it and it was only a first rounder, I think it's a good deal. I think Matthew Nyes comes back and bites you. I do.
Yeah, he's really good.
But you do drop Mrazek's boat anchor contract.
That's pretty
and you
good.
do get Hagel for the next 2 years.
A part of me says, I don't care if Matthew Nyes is a 20-time All-Star if you win 2 rounds. If you win one round.
Boy, that's where we're at.
Yeah, you do.
You know?
Yeah, you're talking about it like, okay, I get where that feeling comes from. Mm-hmm. That's dumb. Like, I understand where we're all of us, Leafs
We're
Nation.
dumb.
Water. Like, we need a playoff round win. I'm desperate for a playoff round win. But most teams that give up a top prospect and don't win the Stanley Cup, we go, look at that. Look at those bunch of idiots.
I think
that would be us.
I think the bar is a little different for the Leafs. I think you need to.
That's wrong.
I think you need to regroup your expectations for this team. If they win 2 rounds, they're in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Oh.
I'm not thinking about Matthew Nyes for many years.
But
if Marc-Andre Fleury leads the Leafs to the Eastern Conference Finals, you do not give a shit about Matthew Nyes.
It's a battle between your head and your heart. Your heart. It's a battle between your head and your heart, and they're both right. Your heart's right in this scenario, and your head's right. Your head says don't do it. Your heart says do it. They're both right.
So you would have done it, Jesse?
It depends. I don't know. It depends on what
Tough
the final,
deal, right?
Because it depends on what the final deal is. If that's the ask, that's
I
not
think
your.
more than likely, here's the final deal.
That's
Fleury, Hagel, 4. Nyes, first round of Mrazek's contract.
Yeah, I probably do that.
Potentially 2 first.
That's what the potential is, but I have only heard that. I've only seen that online once, and they said was potential for multiple firsts, which tells me everybody else says it's 1 first.
I don't think it ever got to the point where you pass the negotiation period where you're asking for the ridiculous number, and then you bring it back down to the medium number where you finally settle at.
That's a good point,
whatever
Jesse.
Whatever that circle is, wherever we land on the, okay, it's kind of decent for both of us, I might do it if it leads me to Hagel and Fleury and a 3rd round berth.
And an absence of Peter Mrazek.
Yeah. Yes, and that's the key,
know.
right? To me, the best part of that deal is Mrazek's contract's gone.
At some point, you got to take a chance.
You do. And I think...
Remember when we all briefly thought he might get claimed on waivers, and then it was the other guy?
Yeah. Well, so I think what it is that I get, first off, I get why Dubas is upset, because it puts him in a tough negotiating position, but it is a business. And Matthew Nyes just got an education in what a business the NHL is. I also think Matthew Nyes is going to come in to be a great player. What the Leafs were willing to do was trade some ceiling for some guarantee. Hagel is not probably, like, he doesn't project to be an absolute superstar, but he's going to be a great player. Matthew Nyes has the potential to be hugely good.
Now, I think there's a potential for this deal to be looked at a few years from now, and we all go, what the fuck? What? Even though they... Like, Tampa's a funny example, because didn't they give up was it a first or 2 firsts for Barclay Goodrow?
I think it was, I don't know.
And we were all like, have you fallen and bumped your head?
Yeah.
But they won.
So it doesn't matter.
They won. Well,
and then they let the Rangers sign him to a ridiculous contract.
It doesn't matter, but you still look at the trade and go, where did the value come from? And I think we're going to look at the Hagel trade in a few years, and we're going to go, how did they land on that value? And the reason is this year is an interesting little blip in time.
Mm-hmm.
The cap has not gone up for like 3 years. That's, in the cap era, highly unusual. Do you remember what the first salary cap was?
$42 million.
Yeah, it was like $42 million. It's like double that now almost, right? It's been going up and up and up and up, and every year it reliably goes up and up and up. And some years it doesn't go up by as much, and you go, ooh, and you penny pinch and everything. But the reason that contracts keep going up is because the cap kept going up. Then it stopped going up. And all of a sudden, Brandon Hagel, who's like, yeah, all right, it's Brandon Hagel, good contract, whatever. Now all of a sudden that deal's worth 2 freaking firsts. And
that seems like a lot.
But the cap messes it up from everyone's perspective. The cap makes it so that a player like him making 1.5 is worth 2 firsts for a team like Tampa or a team like the Leafs. And it also makes him a useless player for the Chicago Blackhawks, because people go, well, you're rebuilding. He's only 22. Yeah. By the time the Blackhawks are relevant at all,
he's 26, 27 minimum.
Yeah, and not making 1.5 anymore. Punt. Out the door. He does not help them win. He helps Tampa win.
It was interesting that you say that, because Taze said that. He's like, well, if that's not the guy you build around, then I don't know what is. It's like, Jonathan.
I hope he's got a good account. I hope he doesn't do his own taxes.
Guys, they're so going to Taze and Kane. I know that's bubbling on the surface. They're gone.
Could they be a little less, like, openly miserable?
Yeah.
At their situation? They
They don't want to. They want to win. You know, that's their whole thing. And
yeah, but you're on the Blackhawks, guys.
Yeah, it's past winning time for them.
Yeah. Also, Taves is like their 8th leading scorer.
Yeah,
like he's
I know he was out all last year with the health stuff, but
I get him being frustrated. But this is what it is, man.
Mm-hmm. Can I say one last thing on the Leafs thing?
Please do. We're not done, so go ahead.
You should probably do this stupid trade. 2012. Alex Anthopoulos trades Noah Syndergaard and Travis Darno for R.A. Dickey and Josh Tolley. Noah Syndergaard goes on to start an all-star game for the Mets. It becomes one of the best pitchers in the league for brief moments. Best prospects, a catcher and a pitcher. Mm-hmm. But I wouldn't trade Noah Syndergaard for that 2012 and 2013 Blue Jays run. Just to bring it into perspective.
Well, they didn't go on a run. That was the problem.
Yeah. Well, no, the
15-16 team.
The 15-16. But that included R.A. Dickey.
100%. Yeah.
Like, I look back at that. I don't regret those moments at all.
No,
I do that trade 100 times out of 100.
I think you're moving the goalposts. R.A. Dickey had very little to do with any of that.
And he was like 38
when they got him. It didn't matter. It was the GM going for it, and then this prospect. It turns out they turned to a prospect, but I'm like, yeah, it's still a good deal because in the moment we got the players.
Yeah, but you're talking about it's like, man, I would for the 2007 Ducks, I would do the Brad May deal again. Like, no, they won because of Solani and Perry and Getzlaff and Jaguar.
But they won.
To be honest, though, Jesse,
but
you might be right about Syndergaard. I know he was a good player for a bit, but like his career record is 47-31.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, it's not that crazy.
What about the guys they gave up for Tulo and for Price? That
Nothing.
To me is the far more comparable.
Okay,
thing.
So you're making my point. I'm saying do the deal for the prospects for the guys to win now. That's all I'm trying to say. Eventually, he pulled the trigger early, but it didn't work out. And then 2 years later, he pulls it again, and then it works out. Just do the thing, because eventually you need to go for it. Every year can't be looking towards next year. I wish more GMs would just pull the trigger and do the thing.
You know what? He's right.
The fucking LA Rams sold every draft pick from now till 2040.
And what did they do? What happened?
They won the Super Bowl.
Right, they won. You know what, though? What we're starting to see...
Pull the trigger.
What we're starting to see with Tampa, Toronto's done this a little bit. Other teams have done it. We're starting to see draft picks 2 and 3 years in advance getting moved. That is great to hear. Because they're realizing...
This one in particular.
Because I think we've reached a point where it's like, are we going to do this or not? Are we going to put both feet in the pool or are we not?
Yeah, but it's a copycat league. So right now, it's moving them 2-3 years down the line. And then in 5 years, when everyone realizes what a stupid fucking idea that was,
it's not a stupid idea. It's not actually, but
no, because those picks are going to turn into great players for their competition.
I think A, that's a slippery slope argument, but B, I would say, Steve, that I think the NHL is figuring out what the NFL did 10 years ago. I think that's what's happening, and I don't think the pendulum's going to swing back the same way. I think that the reality is what you're going to see is like what you see in the CHL, and you've seen the CHL trade drafts. Like, it's like, we're going to trade you the next 40. Yeah, we're going to trade you an 8-year-old and a 7-year-old and a 6-year-old for this 15-year-old.
Yeah, and in Major Junior, there literally is no tomorrow, though.
Right. I think that's how GMs are starting to look at the NHL. There was an article written about it in The Athletic. The windows are so short. You got to go. It's like, look at what the Panthers did.
Yeah.
Giroux was a great pickup. Sherratt, listen, they don't need another skilled defenseman. They need a guy who's going to make you hurt in the playoffs. Sherratt makes sense for them. They paid a lot for him, but if they win the cup, who fucking cares? And that's you said it yourself, right? What did Tampa pay for Barclay Goodrow? Who cares?
Yeah,
they won the cup.
They won.
So I'm asking you now again, why would you not just send it away? Who cares?
I already told you I agree.
So now you're on you trade Matthew Nyes and Fleury for Fleury.
I'm not necessarily saying that, but I am I'm going with. Remember, I was like, well, if you make it 2 rounds, that's not good enough. Yeah, no, I get it.
For the Leafs, it's good.
When you put it in the context of the Blue Jays, I get it.
Hey, now have you considered
it was good enough?
You're a smelly bum. You consider that too.
I wash my ass.
Okay, Harry Sateri.
Harry Sateri.
Okay, so he, played in the Olympics, Finland.
Gold medalist.
The Leafs signed him for goaltending insurance.
Goalie for Sibir Novosibirsk.
And obviously the Coyotes claimed him. Now, I got to be honest with you. I'm sort of here for it.
You're here for it?
I'm here for it.
Because it's funny.
Because if I'm the Coyotes, what's the one thing I need right now?
An arena.
Well, other than that, I need a win.
A goalie to play in my fucking community center arena.
I need something.
Is this a win for the Coyotes?
This is, well, look at how low the bar is. Yes, this is a win because they got one over on the Leafs.
No, they just gave away Carter Hutton to the Leafs for nothing, for future considerations. They didn't.
Well, Carter Hutton sucks, though.
Yeah.
Did the Leafs help the Coyotes get Hari Sateri?
Yeah, I guess they did because they did all the legwork. But the thing is that for the Coyotes...
No, but there's a spot available for him because they took on Carter Hutton.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. But my thinking here is if you're the Coyotes and you're the GM of the Coyotes, you do that.
Yeah, sure. No,
you do that. For sure you do that. It's like when Scheifele, with, nothing better than beating the Leafs, they're going to miss the playoffs, but the best moment of the season was when they beat the Leafs.
Yeah, so, is there anything better than beating the Leafs? Not for you, there isn't. But we've been looking at the waiver wire and going, Jesus, is this a bit that teams keep claiming players from the Leafs?
Yeah, and they have had the most players claimed.
I was told yesterday it is.
Is it actually? You were told by somebody that it's actually a bit.
I was told yesterday that NHL teams think it's hilarious and they do it for fun.
No way.
Dude, who told you this?
Oh my
Who told me this?
I'm not... No, what level of staff? Insider? What are we talking about?
I'm not comfortable telling you that. I believe them.
You believe them?
I mean, the results are in. They've had more players claim double than anybody else.
All right. The idea that
it's literally a meme.
The Coyotes need a goalie is true. Josef Konar is on emergency loan. They do actually need a goalie. But to hear that you believe it's a bit amongst amongst GMs,
yo, the NHL is so stupid.
I don't know if
I believe
this specific claim was a bit, but it is in a bit around the NHL.
That's kind of funny. I would do the same.
I would too. Come on, you wouldn't do the same. You're Bill Armstrong. You wouldn't do the same. Listen.
I mean, it explains. Remember the scene from the Amazon documentary where the Canucks claimed Jimmy Vesey?
Yeah.
And Shanahan was like, "They did? Oh, okay." It's not. He wasn't upset about it, but he was like, "Why would they do that? Why did the Canucks need Jimmy Vesey and then all of a sudden needed Travis Boyd as well?" I think it's because they think it's hilarious.
What's so fucking crazy
funny.
is that on Agent Provocateur, Frank Saravalli and Alan Walsh both said NHL GMs won't call outside of their inner circle. They won't call other GMs.
Mm-hmm.
So they won't call a GM about a legitimate trade, but they'll fuck around on the Toronto Maple Leafs. That just shows you how much the GMs hate the Toronto Maple Leafs.
So there's two things here, and I've already talked about this. Hari Sateri, first of all, I kind of feel shitty for him.
That sucks. Yeah.
Well, it's not just okay. I understand waivers. I do. So let's say I'm on the Toronto Maple Leafs and I make $700,000. My minors contract is $70,000. Okay. They put me on waivers. I'm about to go to the minors, and instead of making $700,000, I'm going to make 70. Holy shit. I'm about to make 1/10 of the money I just was. And then the San Jose Sharks claim me and they play me on their team. Or I'm a healthy scratch, but I stay with the team. I continue to make $700,000 instead of $70,000. It's in my best interest as a player. It's in the NHLPA's best interest that I keep paying union dues and all that. I understand the purpose of waivers. Who the fuck does this help? Hari Sateri signed a contract less than 48 hours ago with the Toronto Maple Leafs. I, Hari Sateri, want to play for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Scribble, scribble, scribble. Mail it off. And 24 hours later, I'm playing for the Arizona Coyotes? And through some sleuthing, this dude was under contract in the KHL.
So he had to buy himself out.
He had to buy himself out! Money! He had to spend money to buy himself out of his contract with his KHL team to sign with, hopefully, the Toronto Maple Leafs, and now he's got to play in fucking Arizona in front of no one.
And who knows if they're even going to pay him, because they always pay their shit late. I'm kidding. It's a joke, but it's not really.
And this is a motivated individual who wants to win hockey games. He won a gold medal. He, honest to goodness, could have had a shot. Imagine he gets to play in the playoffs for the Leafs and wins, like he wins a round, he's about to get millions of dollars if that happens. And he's looking at this and going, how many situations arise where there's a team looking to go deep in the playoffs who needs a goalie? It's not a ton. And he's going to Arizona. He's gonna come here. He's gonna come to North America for 5 weeks and then go home when they miss the playoffs because they suck ass.
So,
and then hopefully sign with the Leafs in the offseason. I don't know.
I agree with you.
How does this help Hari Sateri at all?
I agree with you on the rule.
It's a stupid rule.
It is a stupid rule. I get it, but I think the reason for it is it not that is the rule so that rich clubs don't basically hoard players.
Yeah, it's so you can't stash guys in European leagues and then bring them over and sign them.
But they didn't stash him. He's a 32-year-old in a unique situation. It's a totally unique situation.
Right, but the rule has to be all-encompassing.
Also, they got to
cover everything.
They got to stop doing that. Like, here's the problem: it
keeps good players out of the NHL. What the fuck?
It does. It also, in my opinion, like if the Coyotes had wanted him so bad, they could have signed him at any point. Like the thing that it bothers me because
but they didn't sign that because they fucking stink.
Okay,
they stink.
The rule itself too, I don't think accomplishes what the rule sets out to do. Right? It's to create parity. I mean, the reality is that had the Leafs not signed Hari Sateri, he would not be in the NHL this season. Nobody would have signed him. So it's at a certain point, it's like, are you really helping out the smaller clubs? Or are you just kind of fucking around? And that's what this rule seems like. I'm with you on the rule. I think the rule's wrong. However, as long as the rule exists, if I'm Bill Armstrong, I do it every time. And here's how it helps Hari Sateri. You ready?
For the memes.
Here's how it helps. It helps him because the Leafs, apparently in their contract negotiations, never guaranteed him any playing time, not a minute. Not a single minute. And in Arizona, he's going to play. So he'll get paid more.
I think they would have been happy to throw Peter Mrazek into the sun to give Hari Sateri playing time and send Källgren down probably so he can play, right?
Källgren's going to play.
They would have Källgren play with Joseph Woll out. They would have Källgren play to develop, and they would have Mrazek play to get his head right, and they would have Jack Campbell and Hari Sateri.
Who wins in a street fight, Kyle Davidson or Kyle Dubas?
Oh, we'll get. I guess we're there.
The answer is Kyle Dubas.
Okay.
So Kyle Dubas is huge. Kyle Davidson is not.
Nobody knows that, by the way. Nobody knows Kyle Dubas is huge.
He's huge.
Kyle Dubas, in a picture next to Brendan Shanahan, is like a couple inches shorter. Brendan Shanahan's, I think, 6'2", 6'3".
And not a tiny man.
3 or 4, yeah.
3 or 4. So
thick.
My guess is Dubas is 6'1" at the shortest. 6'1".
At least, yeah.
Kyle Davidson, yesterday I did the comparison. He's standing next to Rocky and Danny Wirtz. He does not come up to their neck area. I think he's around their shoulders.
It's such an uncomfortable photo.
So I'm guessing he's like 5'7", 5'6".
So
I'm taking Dubas just based on the stature.
We're talking about Dubas renting a barn, but we also talked about something wild that I think is related to this, that claiming players off waivers from the Toronto Maple Leafs is a meme. You know why it's a meme? Because Kyle Dubas is way too easy to antagonize.
You think so?
And it goes from the top down. Goes from the
What are you
top down. The NHL thinks it's funny to pick on him, and they don't respect him.
I don't know if that's true.
They don't respect him. And if they did, this
Shanny?
shit wouldn't happen. No, Kyle Dubas. Well, they definitely don't respect.
Well, because
Brendan
he's
Shanahan.
considered an outsider. Yeah, he's not one of the 32 guys or the 40 guys who rotates in as general manager.
Yeah, this is going to do favors for the Chicago Blackhawks because they're going to, don't worry about him. He's a fucking asshole. And then they're going to do deals with the Blackhawks. This conflict with Kyle Dubas is helping to build Kyle Davidson's Rolodex. 100%. Guys with the Leafs, he whines about everything. Fucking asshole. Don't worry about him.
I don't know about that.
100%.
I don't know that he is that wrong about that.
You're not thinking like hockey players, man. You're thinking way too cleverly. This is how they operate. This is how the NHL operates. Don't worry about him. He's a fucking asshole. Anyway, here, what do you want? And that's how they're going to build friendship and relationships. They think it's funny to fuck with the Toronto Maple Leafs, and they think it's funny to fuck with Kyle Dubas.
Which objectively it kind of is.
It kind of is, because people who think it's funny to antagonize other people find targets like Kyle Dubas, and that cup it's never empty, is it? It will always quench your thirst.
Right.
It's like you ever catch the same fish more than once, and you can't believe it, but the fucking thing loves worms. It loves it, and cheese. There's a little tip for when you go fishing. NHL DMs don't respect this guy. It's proven in the way they behave, in the way they interact, the way they treat this guy. And the Kyle Davidson thing is just another example.
Well, I was going to ask you next, who wins in the street fight, Kyle Dubas or Bill Armstrong?
Ooh, Bill Armstrong's a very angry man.
Like the old guy.
Like, is he going to have, like, you know, Bill Armstrong used rage. Bill Armstrong used super intense and quite coif hair. Bill Armstrong, by the way, is a very big man. Played in the NHL.
Part of me wonders if Dubas was making calls around the NHL when he was the AGM, and teams were like, I can't wait till this little shit doesn't have Lou to protect him. And now all of a sudden he doesn't. And they're like, okay, cool. Now it's lunch money time.
Could be. Just some wrapping up here. Marc-Andre Fleury to Minnesota. Do you guys have quick thoughts on that?
Good for him.
And Minnesota, though, is what I was thinking.
Oh, good for them.
They must have to go for. They have to, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like an obvious move that we didn't see for some reason.
Fair.
And Capo Kakinen going out the door for Jacob Middleton, that actually makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's a buy. That's a double buy. You know, for some reason, Kakinen has like a higher profile name, but like that's essentially the San Jose Sharks were giving up or were asking for a second rounder for Jacob Middleton. I think what they got was better. You don't have to wait on Capo Kakinen. He's there. He's not great, but he has the potential to get much better. So the Sharks did well there, and they can still trade Reimer in the offseason. But the Minnesota Wild, I think, became more Minnesota Wild-y. They don't like allowing goals. Jacob Middleton helps you in that respect and helps beat the shit out of people.
Mm-hmm.
They're a good team. They're a real good team, man. I like those moves.
Let's talk about the Flames. Yarncroc and Toffoli. I count Toffoli as a deadline move because that's really pretty solid.
We did Yarncroc last episode.
We did? Okay, I want to make sure.
Yeah.
It's hard to remember, man.
Brassard and Kulak in Edmonton. Kulak's fast enough. Brassard already played there, didn't he?
Pretty steep price, man.
Yeah.
Brassard in Edmonton? I don't remember him playing in Edmonton.
Okay, all right.
I mean, that's sort of that's a low cost, nothing move. I don't really care. But Kulak, that's quite a bit.
Yeah.
That's quite a bit.
I'm more surprised Edmonton didn't get a goalie than I am for Toronto.
Well, yeah, because that's been a problem since the beginning, right? Like
You're still running with Koskinen and Smith.
And Skinner.
Yeah. Stuart Skinner's still there.
I think
you're just hoping that one of these three guys works out. Same situation in Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
You just hope that. I guess now that I talk it out, it makes a little sense.
Playoffs.
Similar situation.
Playoffs are when you stop caring about everyone's feelings.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, okay, let's see if Mike Smith gets it back. Let's see if he gets it back. Game 1 of the playoffs, he allows a shitty goal. All right, Mike, get the fuck out, and we are putting Stewart in.
You got 3 options. It's enough to rotate and find a guy who's hot.
100%.
And Skinner's been a really nice surprise. Panthers.
Koskinen too. Like, I mean, he's been better than he was.
Totally.
Okay.
We were talking about, that was a low bar, but you're right.
Adequate.
Giroux, Sherratt, and Hag, along with a couple others with the Panthers. We talked about that a little bit, but here's the thing. Ekblad on LTIR yesterday.
Yeah,
Yikes.
that sucks.
Will not play the rest of the year. They know that. May play in the playoffs.
They were going real hard after a bunch of players. I heard Andrew Kopp. Obviously, it didn't end up working out.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, just the worst luck in the universe.
Tough, but they're still great.
Not the team. Ekblad.
Yeah.
No, I hope he comes back for the guy. And if he does, there'll be a wagon, and if he doesn't, they'll still probably be pretty good.
Did you see that Huberdeau is going to set the record for most points ever for a left winger?
No.
In a season?
Yeah, in a season. So, or most assists ever, I think it is.
That doesn't belong to Yari Curry and
for
how?
a left winger.
Or was he a
ever.
right winger?
It's something ridiculous.
So, okay, I guess not a lot of points go through the left wing because, okay, I believe it's Alexander Ovechkin now holds the all-time record for points by a left winger. Do you know who held it before him?
No.
Throw out a name.
Left wing? I don't
Left
know.
wing.
Like, I just
All
look
time.
at people as wingers.
Pick someone who played in the 80s and 90s.
Brett Hull. Right winger, I'm assuming.
Right winger. You got a name?
Just go.
Luke Robitaille.
Oh.
Yeah, that's the right response. You're both correct. You both have the same response because it's right. Luke Robitaille, great player.
Yeah.
Best.
I mean, he was pretty good.
That's what that voice was.
Yeah.
Great player. Best
Yeah.
at his position ever? Okay.
So I think the Panthers did good. Although Colby Armstrong brought up on the Sportsnet panel, which I thought was really interesting. He said, it could be too much scoring in Florida.
Who said that?
Colby Armstrong. And I thought that was interesting. He's like, I'm just looking at the lineup. Where does he fit?
Who?
Claude Giroux.
Okay, so they were number 1 in the NHL in goals for,
Yeah.
and then they got Claude Giroux.
And Claude Giroux is a setup maniac.
I was definitely going, where the fuck?
So
Did
so
you
Daily
hear-
Faceoff has him in at right beside Barkov and Verhaeghe on the top line.
Well, I mean, yeah, he'll play wing.
Jeez, that's a stupid
Most
line.
assists ever by a left winger in a season, 70, and Huberdeau is at 65. So yeah, that is the
He's gonna
record
do it.
He's on to break,
That's
and
crazy.
it's set by Joe Juneau.
Oh, Joe Juneau.
Juneau.
The guy who had his incredible rookie season and then was okay the rest of the way.
He had 70 assists as a left winger in 92, 93.
I think that I believe he was the rookie of the year that year and then was never as good.
Does that list not just add to the conversation we just had?
Kevin Stevens
Like
is
those-
number 2.
All those players are good. But like
Matt Snaslin,
Michel Goulet,
and then Jonathan Huberdeau.
and then Johnny
Mark
Messier 7th?
Joe Juneau's interesting because he scored 32 goals in that season, Jesse, that you mentioned for the Bruins.
102 points.
He never had more than 15 ever again
15 goals?
in a season.
Wow.
And then when he scored he had the 70 assists. He had 102 points. He never got higher than next year's 72, and after that, I think he got to 64 once, and the rest of them are in the 40s. A bizarre career,
Yeah.
like really bizarre career. Big part of the Caps, I think, in that run to the Stanley Cup Finals too.
97.
Yeah, he had a really good playoff that year. I remember that, him and Adam Oates.
The Florida has too much scoring conversation is dumb.
I thought
What I'm gonna
just
say.
thought it was worth bringing up.
Well,
I was like, that's
How
interesting.
is that a problem?
There was I thought the Kevin Bieksa story was pretty interesting because he talked about a team he was on bringing in a player who screwed up the team's chemistry.
Sure.
And then who was it? Pasitopoulos, was it? Wrote an article basically going, all right, let's figure out who he was talking about.
Who
and
was it?
they're pretty sure it was Derek Roy, who joined the Canucks years ago. So
Is Derek Roy Claude Giroux?
well, Derek Roy was a guy who had red flags over his career, but was really good.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Claude Giroux, just had a tear-jerker 1,000-game ceremony, leaving his team as captain. And
Yep.
I don't know.
Is adored.
I just feel like you maybe don't have to worry about that. And also, the structure of the Florida Panthers, for a team that's so unbelievably destructive offensively, they shuffle a lot.
Mm-hmm.
They have, okay, Mason Marchment, top line player now. Okay, never mind. He's not. It's Carter Verhaeghe. And Anthony Duclair has gotten a shot in there. Sam Reinhart's on the third line, just chilling. Absolutely hilarious. Yeah. Oh my God, that is the deepest team. That's such a ridiculously deep team. Look at that. Also, Joe Thornton got a goal the other night, which made me go, "Oh look, Joe Thornton."
How's his beard?
It's just as magnificent as it ever was. He was a daily topic of conversation in Toronto. And yesterday was the first time I had heard his name in 6 months.
I think the best deadline of any team was the Avalanche. Arturi Lehkonen, Josh Manson, Andrew Cogliano.
That was a good one.
Cogliano is a vacuum cleaner in the faceoff dot. He's amazing, isn't he?
And he's a winger.
What?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he's a winger, man.
Nowadays.
He's really fast.
Wasn't he a center? Yeah, hold on.
He might have been a center earlier in his career.
Am I an idiot? Yes. That's insane. Are you serious? Maybe I'm dumb. No, he's a center.
No, he's not.
They don't even have him in the lineup.
He's not even. Andrew Cogliano's not a center, man.
You're a center.
You're a center. I'll center you.
What are we doing here? People gave me shit because Joe Sakic is not going to use LTIR. So we don't get to make fun of the Avalanche for the cap shenanigans. Okay?
You're right. No,
Okay.
listen. All we did was assume the Avalanche were as shady as every other NHL team.
Let me just call it.
Not.
I was wrong about Andrew Cogliano. I guess I looked up someone else's stats because I actually thought I looked it up and I had 56, 57, 58% in the last 3 years.
Adam, don't
Left
worry.
winger.
That qualifies you to be
Fuck.
GM of the Leafs in 2008.
Well, that's great. But I mean, we all know what Andrew Cogliano brings: penalty kill,
we?
leadership. He's 37 or 35 or whatever he is. Lekkonen's great, good pickup from Montreal, and
excuse me, and a RFA.
Oh,
Yeah.
they also say, or they were saying yesterday. I don't know if this is true. I don't know how I could possibly know this, but they're saying that he's one of the smarter players in the NHL. Coaches love working with him. I don't know. That's what they said.
That's one of those. I think that's a. As a member of the media, I'm going to say that's a media thing.
Is it?
Yeah. Does he help your team win?
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh man, he tells great stories and he listens to podcasts and does he help you win or not?
Okay. And Josh Manson, who can play hockey and throw big hits.
And big for them is Bowen Byram rejoined the team.
Oh, that's pretty major. Yeah.
That is pretty major, man. This team's not fucking around.
For a guy that doesn't like to make deadline moves, I thought it was interesting that Brian Burke and company brought in Ricard Raquel. I think that's no one's talking about the Penguins right now, except for maybe Penguins fans.
They're going to be a tough out.
Watch out for the damn Penguins again.
The only buyer to give up guys off their roster.
No.
Like Zach Aston Reese and Dominic Simone.
Yeah.
I think it was. So that I found to be very interesting.
Zach Aston Reese has been there forever.
Right? Even if he hasn't been, it feels like it.
Yeah.
Doesn't it feel like it?
It does.
I want to say the first mention of him was 2018. Pittsburgh ages guys quickly, but it's okay because they play better when they're old. Like, it's just a really strange team.
That's a good point.
a really
Zach
strange
Aston
team.
Reese had been in Pittsburgh for 5 years, so I think
Hey,
it's
there
pretty
you
much
go.
forever. Hey, at least I got something right. I think Ricard Raquel's really good scoring depth for them, and that's a really good move if he can stay healthy. Rangers with a great deadline as well.
I thought they had a really good one.
Nick Merkley, which is a name we haven't heard in a while, but Andrew Kopp, Tyler Mott, Justin Braun, very solid.
Good like locker room pickups. Kopp and Trouba know each other from Winnipeg, and now they have a line in the Rangers, or three guys who all played for the same college team. I think it's Mott, Kopp, and there's another guy on the team. I can't remember, but
And they can only have one syllable last names.
only. But they, I think the Rangers. Remember we talked about purpose.
Mhm.
The Rangers became more of what they want to be. Antagonizing and hardworking.
If the Senators had just called the Flyers, they could have gotten Justin Braun for what they paid for Travis Hamonic.
Could've
Yeah,
got
but
a
they
lot
don't
of
like-
guys.
They would have had to re-sign him.
They don't
but-
like Justin Braun. They like Travis.
They like Travis Hamonic specifically. That
Because
is
he's-
their man. They want him on the team.
I don't even care where he's going to play.
Was Justin
No.
Braun on the Canadian World Junior team? Shut up.
Boston Bruins, the big pickup obviously is Hampus Lindholm. They always make a splash at the deadline, always, and then they sign him to an 8-year extension worth just north of $6 million. To me, steep price, but worth it. And to be honest with you, I don't think the Bruins, like CJ's been saying it, he said it on our show at the beginning of the year, they don't have that many years left with this core. Bergeron's deal's up at the end of the year. He could retire, like he may be done.
It was they obviously really like this player because they're a team that they don't love spending money. They really don't. I mean,
Because they got away with it for so many years.
Yeah, they got away with it for so many years, but like they didn't want to pay Torrey Krug
Yeah.
because I don't think they liked him enough to pay him the amount of money he wanted. They like Hampus Lindholm enough to pay him the money that he wanted.
Yeah, and I think fucking Boston, man. No matter what, they're always in it. They always go out and do something.
I'm shocked they didn't get a center. For them, I
Yeah.
think it's kind of a I don't know if it's a failure trade deadline day, but if I'm grading them, they're getting like a C, D plus.
Other teams did better
because they needed a center, because Bergeron's out right now, and down the middle it doesn't look great. Like they got Coyle up there playing the top.
But have they given you enough, Jesse, this year that you go out and blow? Like you have Hampus Lindholm for the rest of the year, right? Which is great, and next year. But have they given you enough where you're like, I need to go get that? I mean, I know the Senators are looking a little thin. I agree.
Yeah.
Like, they're going to be a wild card team unless they pass the Leafs, which, by the way, they tied the Leafs yesterday.
Right. They're playing really well of late. But like, I think for every year that the Bruins are in it, like they're going to make the playoffs this year. They got to go for it. And if you needed depth on center, you should have went out and bought that.
Yes. And they have 12 gamer this year. Jared Studnicka playing.
Do you have their 4 centers?
Yes, I do.
Read them.
Studnicka, Eric Haula, Charlie Coyle, and Thomas Nosek.
Hey. Studnicka used to play for the Oshawa Generals. You show him some damn respect.
He did used to play, and then he was traded to the Niagara Ice Dogs.
Bergeron will be back.
He wasn't as good.
Bergeron will be back, but
actually,
you need some center depth.
If I'm not mistaken, Studnicka was the captain of the Generals. They traded him to the Ice Dogs. The Generals ended up playing the Ice Dogs in the playoffs, and the Generals won. If I'm not mistaken.
That's rough. Okay.
Yeah, that was a few years ago.
Okay, well, I mean, and obviously there's other teams that we could have talked about, but there's not a whole lot of time, and I know that CJ Show's also coming out. So here's the deal.
And Noxie and Cax.
And Noxie and Cax today too. The one last thing I do want to talk about is sneakily, Shea Weber's contract became available. And I'm wondering if you're the Toronto Maple Leafs going into the draft, is that not something you look at to go into LTIR space?
A birdie told me that the Coyotes tried.
They tried to get Weber's contract?
The league shot them down.
No way. Are you serious?
They didn't like the perception. Meanwhile, they were able to go out and get Brian Little from the Winnipeg Jets.
No way.
But I guess they figured because it was Winnipeg and not Montreal, the blowback wouldn't be as huge. If it's Shea Weber, it's a giant story. If it's Brian Little, no one talks about it. We didn't talk about it all show. If they went out and got Shea Weber, we would have opened with that. Right?
No way.
That's what I heard.
I thought it'd be a rich team that would pick him up. Not a
No, they need to get to the floor. They don't have guys next year.
Boy, I got to tell you, for everything that was made, and I know we got to go through that article that was written in The Athletic.
Have you guys read it yet?
We're going to do it tomorrow.
Catch up.
The Coyotes thing.
The latest Coyotes thing.
Katie Strang
back-to-back podcast days.
Yeah,
Let's go.
Katie Strang tomorrow. We're going to go through this thing. Holy shit, man. I could see why the league does not need more bad PR from the Coyotes, and all the Coyotes want to give them is bad PR. That's why I said Bill Armstrong signed Harry Sateri, because it gives them at least a momentary W.
And when you say they shut it down, it's not like they filed the paperwork for the trade and they sent it into the league office, and the league office is like, no, you can't do that. It's like, hey, Gary, I'm thinking about doing this. What do you think if we got the Shea Weber? And he's like, you know what? I maybe hold off on that. You don't do it right now. Yeah, it's more of a conversation, and I 100% see that happening, and them not getting a thumbs up from the higher ups to do this deal.
Just telling you what I heard.
Yeah.
Damn, Steve. That's the first place I've heard that.
Well, I mean, I heard a lot over the last few days.
What happened to Brendan Manel?
Well, yeah. I heard a lot, and not all of it, none of it
pans
came
out.
true.
I know that.
I didn't say cop to the Leafs. I said the Leafs looked at cop, which they did. And the Panthers looked at cop, which they did. I believe they did. The Leafs looked at moving Brendan Manel. They weren't able to do that.
The Leafs have also just signed Curtis Douglas to a future 2-year entry-level contract. So I'm assuming that.
Did they?
Yeah. What does that mean, Steve?
Well, what does that mean? So let me look up something for you. So Curtis Douglas, not everyone I speak to is convinced he can skate. And here's why you don't give a shit. The 22-year-old Oakville, Ontario native is 6'8", 249 pounds. Plays center. Actually does have an offensive touch, 27 points in 49 games this year. But go and watch. There's a fight he had recently in the AHL. He punches a man's helmet clean off. So This is a future 2-year deal, so he won't be eligible to play in the playoffs this year.
Right, so he's here to deliver Nucky sandwiches.
Damn it. Well, and also...
Can he score?
They have him. Yeah, he can. They get him for the future. So, again, though, that keeps open those 2 roster slots for Nick Abruzzese and Matthew Nyes. And also kind of underrated in all this, and it's a shame because all the fanfare just died. Josh Hosang.
Oh, yeah. What happened?
What happened is something that we thought would be great for him ended up being trash. Going and playing for the Canadian Olympic team. So he gets injured shortly before playing for the Olympic team, but he's healthy enough and goes anyway.
Mm-hmm.
The team doesn't do very well, and they barely used him. And then he comes back, and all of a sudden you're coming back all the way from China, and I'm sure there were different. I'm sure he had to wait a long time and missed a bunch of games, and it killed his momentum.
Damn.
I still think he's a good player who they should look at signing to an NHL deal. I mean, they got guys in the ECHL who are on NHL deals, but playing for the Canadian Olympic team killed it for him.
You also never turn down an opportunity to win a gold medal that nobody cares about.
Of course not.
You always
that no one cares about.
You always go and try and win that gold medal.
What kind of idiots?
Dude, if they won, people would have cared.
Kidding. Yes.
If they won, people would have cared, but they lost.
I kid.
No.
It's just,
why do you mean that?
no. Yeah, like you can't blame him for making that decision.
Oh, no.
It's the frickin' Olympics. He did the right thing. It just everything worked out the opposite way of how he wanted it to work. He wanted to go there, and he's playing on literally the world stage, and everybody looks at him. He's like, Josh Hosang needs a contract, and it never happened. Also,
good decision, bad result.
Stahl, exact same situation. Thought he'd go over there, get a contract, play in the Olympics, and come back. There's an NHL contract sitting waiting for him. Never happened.
CJ hammered that.
CJ was huge on that because that was going to be the storyline coming out of the Olympics. All these guys are going to get deals, and none of them
should have signed him
came to
Boston.
fruition.
Boston should have signed him.
That's kind of a good fit.
Yeah.
I guess they decided.
Well,
no.
can they? Could they?
Sure.
I guess they could, but wouldn't he have to be waived?
I don't know.
Good question. I don't think so, but maybe.
He needs to get in.
Would have been. I'm pretty sure.
He needs to get in a regular season game. I know to get into the playoffs. I don't know. I think now he's not on a roster. Like if he signed now, he wouldn't be able to play in the playoffs. He would have had to be on a roster. I think it's prior to. I forget the date in February.
Oh wow!
What if the Leafs liked Josh Hosang too much to sign him?
Yeah, because they knew they were going to lose him.
They knew they'd lose him as a meme. So have fun with that, there, Twitterverse.
Okay,
it's a meme.
There we have it.
Well,
so
remember that the next time a guy gets claimed, which will be the next time a guy gets waived.
Tomorrow, there's lots to go through, including prepping for the Leafs and Giordano's first game in Toronto tomorrow night against New Jersey. I actually will be at that game. We'll go over tomorrow the black jerseys that the Toronto Maple Leafs, the Justin Bieber collaboration jerseys that they're going to do for tomorrow as well, which are reversible. Have you seen them?
Jesse's had them up, but I don't have my glasses on, so I can't see shit.
Okay. All right. Hang on. I got it for you, Steven.
He's got it.
No, I got it.
Right.
I got it. That's jersey.
I think it looks cool. Anyway, we'll talk about that tomorrow. We'll talk about the Coyotes article with Katie Strang. You should read it. It's crazy. Oh, my God. And we will see you tomorrow. Don't forget, brand new.
Oh, you're just ending the show?
Oh, do you want to do press conference?
So...
Oh. I thought we were done. Are we doing the press conference?
I mean, we got a show tomorrow.
Yeah.
The Steve Dangle Press Conference.
So I have to do one last thing before we go here. I have to announce our winner of sdpn Fan Fridays, as we do the following Friday every week. This week's winner, Nick Raunich. Congratulations,
Hey, Nick. Congratulations.
Nick shared a photo of him listening to the show from the slopes of Whistler.
That looks terrible.
He's sitting on what is the gondola? What is it called?
The lift.
The lift.
Chairlift.
Nick's sitting on the
Andrew
chairlift
Cogliano, center.
With his friend there.
Idiot.
Listening from the slopes of Whistler, baby. SDPN Fan Fridays every Friday.
Hey, good for you, man.
Hey, speaking of idiot and skiing chairlifts, I've been skiing, I think, once ever in grade 8.
Oh.
And I went up the chairlift with a friend and was very confused that there wasn't anything holding us in. And it's because I didn't know the bar was above my head. I'd never been skiing. So I went up the entire way, just gripping the chair with all my strength. I was only like 13 years old.
Well, if nobody tells you, how would you know?
No, and I got to the top, and the guy was just like, "You could have died. Anyway, enjoy."
Yeah.
I was like,
yeah.
Thanks. I'm a child, but okay.
Jesse, do you ski?
I have when I was in like high school.
Okay.
Not anymore. Yeah.
Yeah. I used to take lessons. Oh. I remember,
look at you.
I think I told you guys this, but I remember I hadn't skied in like 10 years, and I was dating a girl in Calgary, and we went to Lake Louise, and she's like, here, follow me down this hill. And it was a double black time, and I was like, oh, shit.
Oh.
And had to do moguls. Not fun.
That same skiing trip, I hit a fence.
Oh, cool.
Because there were a bunch of girls from my class who walked right in front of my path.
Mm-hmm.
And didn't know I was coming, and I knew enough to steer out of the way, but not enough to stop. So I hit one of those like orange plastic fences, and I was wearing a giant Maple Leafs jacket, like one of those old 90s with the huge leaf on the back. And I was just lying there like, fuck. And some guy goes, Maple Leafs, you okay? I go, yeah. And years later, I have back problems. Don't know why.
Jesse, go ahead. Do we have any questions?
No, we're done.
Oh, we don't have the show. Okay. All right. So, CJ show. If it's not posted right now, it will be posted very soon. You should listen to that one. Obviously, Noxie and Cax has a show today as well. There's all the content today. Steve Dangle Podcast will be back tomorrow and Friday, and we can't wait. I'm exhausted. How about you? Or you do not care?
The Steve Dangle Podcast. Follow the guys on Twitter at Steve_Dangle, at Adam WYLDE, and at Jesse Blake. Connection complete.